Monday, May 28th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I'm going to talk about Italy today and why it's so important for the markets, for the euro, for the dollar, for the whole financial system. And you might think you're exaggerating, but I'm not. Already in 2011-12, when we had the previous European sovereign debt crisis, the whole system was almost breaking down. And then the ECB and Mario Draghi said, oh, we're going to do whatever it takes, and started printing hundreds, if not trillions, of euros of fake money to buy up all the European peripheral debt. And I'll show you why as well. This peripheral debt is not only important to the peripheral countries like Portugal, Spain, Italy, Ireland, but to all the other major European countries, Germany especially. And you have to go back to the old saying that if you lend someone, $10,000, it's not a problem to get the money back from him. But if you lend, or to let him, go bankrupt, it's not a problem. But if you lend someone $1 billion and you're a small bank, you can't let him go bankrupt, or else he's going to bankrupt you. And that's what's happened. This is what the whole world is facing with the problems in Europe, the sovereign debt crisis problem in Europe. And the US as well. The dollar might do well on the back of a collapse, of a breakdown in Europe. But eventually that will also go, because we're all interconnected. So that's what I'm going to talk about. There's been some big developments in Italy over the weekend. It's 8:05 a.m. It is a bank holiday in the UK, so the markets are going to be a lot quieter. But Europe, the continent of Europe, is not a holiday, so we're still getting... markets are still open. Italian government bonds are trading. Spanish government bonds are trading. German government bonds are trading. The U.S. is closed for Memorial Day, so it will be quieter. But let's have a quick look first to see what's happening. Yeah, they've smacked gold back down below 1,300. It is 1296.25, down 5. Not concerned. High's been 1302, the low 1295. Silver is only down 4 cents at 1646. Range has been 1644 to 1655. So very quiet. The Dow future trading today. Of course, the main market will only open tomorrow, but it doesn't mean the future can't trade. That's how they, that's how they control the market. They keep it open. A lot of people in the US probably think the Dow is not even trading today, but it is. It's up 91 points at 24,830, up 1/3%. S&P future is up 11 at 2731. NASDAQ 100 future up 0.5% at just below 7,000. The European currencies, they've rebounded today, and that's related to what's happening in Europe. The pound is up 0.25% at 133.28, and the euro is up 0.5% at 117.07. The dollar's virtually unchanged against the yen. So you can see gold go down while the dollar goes down as well, and vice versa. We have seen lately that the gold has done very well in euros and sterling and other European currencies like the Swiss franc. Crude oil had a big hit on Friday and continues to go lower. It's down another $1 right now at 66.80. There were comments about, Saudi Arabia and Russia saying that they're going to boost production. I still think the trend is higher for oil prices, though. So Italy. What's happening in Italy? Well, they had an election on the 4th of March this year. It took them until now to be able to form a coalition between what they call populist parties. Anything that's not mainstream, anything that the people want is called populism. It sounds like They denigrate it, of course, right? And they've got two parties: the Five Star Movement, MS5, and they've got the Northern League, or the League, which is they call it a right-wing, alt-right party. But they're able to get together. Their two leaders did not choose to become one, to choose to become prime minister. So they picked someone neutral, a guy called Giuseppe Conte. He went yesterday, I think, to the president of Italy, a guy called Sergio Mattarella. He went to him to present the cabinet and the new government, and he refused to allow them to nominate Paolo Savona as the finance minister or economy minister, because he's very anti-EU. He's criticized the EU. He's criticized Germany. He says that the euro is like the plan of the Reichsbank head, or the economy head of Germany in 1936, Funk. So he's been very critical, even though I've looked at this guy's background. He's worked for the Bank of Italy. He's worked for all the big international institutions. He's done time at the Federal Reserve. He's specialized in the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. He's an economist. He's 81, an older guy. So the president of Italy basically gave the two fingers to the Italian people and said, "Oh, you can't have this government because I don't like it." He does constitutionally have the power to decline, when a new prime minister comes to form a government. He has the power in the Italian constitution to say no, but it's hardly ever used. And why do I think he's doing this? Well, because the bankers have, Italy. They're holding Italy, Spain to ransom. Every time you get a political change in Europe, the bankers go and smash. They say, you do this, your bonds are going to go, dump. Your interest rates are going to spike. So they get scared, and that's what this Mattarella did. He saw, like on Friday, for example, what happened to bond yields, and he got scared, and he said no to change. As the old saying goes, and from the 19th century, one of the big bankers of the 19th century said, Mr. Rothschild said, "I care not who makes the laws of the country, as long as I have control of the money supply." And this is exactly what's happening now. So the financial elite, the central banks, they're holding Italy to ransom. Italian people voted for this government. They wanted this government, and the president of Italy is basically a wimp. He's got no backbone. So he said no. So what's going on now in Italy aside from that? Well, The Guardian in the UK is reporting new elections loom. So they're going to have new elections. New elections loom in Italy amid calls for Mattarella to be impeached. So they want to even impeach the president. I don't know if they have a case, but yeah, go ahead, do it. He's a wimp. He's like succumbed to the bankers. And that's what the Department of Justice did in the US as well, when they did not criminally prosecute HSBC for money laundering with Mexican drug lords, for dealing with terrorist organizations. Yeah, because they're every time they do that, they're held ransom by the bankers. The bankers will pull the plug. And it makes you wonder, go ahead, pull the plug. So it says here, Giuseppe Conte, the prime minister in waiting, quits, and coalition of M5S, the Movimento Cinque Stelle, the 5-star movement, and the Lega, the League, fails as president refuses to accept their choice of Eurosceptic finance minister. I mean, it happened the same thing in Greece a few years ago. Everyone was really hopeful that Varoufakis was going to default, the finance minister that they had, the new government in Greece. And then, you know, the president of Greece wimped out, you know, the prime minister or the guy, the leader of the government wimped out just like mozzarella. So I'll read here a bit about what's happening from The Guardian. It says a standoff over Italy's future in the Eurozone has forced the resignation of the populist prime minister in waiting. Well, it's not a standoff. What's forced that is the president of Italy, The Guardian, Giuseppe Conte. He was supposed to be more of like a, how can I say, a neutral prime minister. The two leaders of the coalition parties were too, they wanted to use someone like him. But that's beside the point. After the country's president refused to accept Conte's controversial choice for finance minister. Sergio Mattarella, the Italian president, who was installed by a previous pro-EU government, refused to accept the nomination for finance minister of Paolo Savona, an 81-year-old former industry minister who called Italy's entry into the euro a historic mistake. So there you go. And there's also talk now that the president of Italy wants to nominate a caretaker prime minister, just like they did when they got rid of Berlusconi during the debt crisis in 2012, I think, and installed Mario Monti, who was former Goldman guy. So the president of Italy is thinking of nominating a guy called Carlo Cottarelli as prime minister, interim, like a technocrat. And you read his biography. Cottarelli graduated in economics and banking from the University of Siena. He received his master's degrees in economics from London School of Economics, the school that took endowment from Muammar Gaddafi, the Gaddafi School of Economics in London. He worked in the research department of the Bank of Italy. Well, Savona worked for the Bank of Italy, but, you see what I mean? The worst is this. Since September 1988, he has been working for the International Monetary Fund, which he was part of several departments. So that's who, they want to install. Are they going to let... No, they're not going to let the people decide. They're going to let the IMF run Italy. So that's what he's looking for. That's in the meantime, before they have another election in Italy. So it's all up in the air. I said in the beginning of the video why it's so important that the bankers, they don't want to let Italy go because Italy owes a lot of money. If you owe the bank $1 million, $10,000, they don't care if you go bust. But if you owe them $1 billion in your small bank, you don't want them to go bust. And this is actually from 2012, and it just goes to show debt by country. You see Italy 1.4 trillion. I think that's gone up now. I mean, Italy now, if you look at the data, I think their debt is more like over $2 trillion. So that's gone up a lot. But the interesting thing about this is what the Europe debt bomb looks like. And it says banks and governments in these 5 shaky economies owe each other many billions of euros converted here to dollars and have even larger debts to Britain, France, and Germany. Arrow widths are proportional to debt amounts. This is from Bank for International Settlements and the New York Times. So this is not updated. It's even more now. So you see Italy, the biggest creditor to Italy is France at that time, 500 billion. Britain, 77 billion. These are the banks in these countries. Italy and Spain going down the drain, the whole of the European banking system will collapse. And so will the US banking system eventually, because they're all interrelated. They all work together. And that's why, my friend, they don't allow the people to make the decisions until they get the right government. And by they, I mean the bankers and the financial elites. They won't let the Italians run their own affairs. But that has consequences. They're playing with fire. So there you go. That's why it's so important to look at Italy. And this morning, of course, the yield on the 10-year BTP has dropped 8 basis points. Already late on Friday, it dropped from the highs. I think it got up to almost 260 and 256. So we're down almost 20 basis points from then. And so for now, things have calmed down in Spain as well. The yields got up to, I think it got up to almost 160, and we're now at 145, the Spanish 10-year. So there you go. We'll keep an eye on this. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Steemit, DTube, and Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.